This episode is brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Celebrate National Smoothie Day with Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie on June 21st with bowl or food purchase. Order in the app, online, or in cafe. You're on Tropic Time now.
And now, live from Pod Cabin in Burbank, California, it's the Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend show. Tonight, Allison welcomes her guests. She's a writer, comedian, and host of the podcasts Lady to Lady and Pop Mystery Pod. It's Tess Barker. And he's a comedian and writer for Jimmy Kimmel Live and 13 Comedy Central roasts. It's Jesse Joyce. Chef Jeff is here to explain his plan for peace in the Middle East, which he describes as knocking it off all of yous. I'm her husband Daniel, saying hop on board the Love Bus and say hello to your new best friend, Allison Rosen.
Hello, my little Linzer tarts. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. That particular delicious-sounding carbohydrate was sent in on Patreon. By Jess Flowers. And yes, I am on Patreon. All sorts of fun stuff over there. You can get bonus episodes of The Friend Zone. There's a level where you can text me. I'll text you back. You can see pictures of my exclusive new puppy content. If you sign up for an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. Okay, I would like to say hello to my guests. I'm very excited about this episode. Jesse Joyce, hello, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Thanks. You know what I took from that is that I'm not allowed to take a picture of your puppy and post it.
I mean,
you made a very fine line under exclusive puppy content.
If you want to be my sworn enemy,
well,
if you want to go head to head and toe to toe, is it head to head or toe to toe?
I think it's fucked up when people take pictures of your pet and post it. I do.
Yeah,
I don't like it. It's there's a guy, you know, John O'Zalay. He's a very funny comedian.
I don't.
So I got a dog and I moved to L.A. I got a job out here and I had to go out here and I left him with the brand new puppy.
Oh.
And he had it for like 5 months or whatever. And we like lived together for a bit. Like he was my roommate. After I got divorced, he was like my replacement wife for a little while in my apartment. So he had the dog. And then like he got very close to the dog. And he was very good with the dog. But then now he like constantly like posts pictures of my dog on the internet. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's... I feel weird about it. And I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Wait, he's posting pictures from back when he was with the dog?
No, because like anytime, like he used to post tons of pictures of the dog. And then like I think my dog's on his CD, you know, or whatever too, like on his album cover.
Okay.
And then like...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then
he's
like
really
anytime
moving
he
in on your
comes
dog.
over, he like always takes a picture of the dog and posts it, you know, like without
asking
context.
you.
It's not even like I want permission. It's just like there's a whole... He's more active on social media, so there's like a whole universe of people that are under the impression that that's
his dog.
Right? And it's like and he has like some ownership of it because he did help raise it at the beginning.
But if you post it, they might be like, hey, why are you posting John O'Zalay's dog?
Yeah, I did have somebody once go, it looks like Jono's dog. And it's like, no, motherfucker, it's my dog. Jono just posts about it a lot.
Let's find out what everyone thinks about this.
Yeah, so that's, whatever.
This, how would I describe this? Transgression.
Yeah, like, are you allowed to post pictures of other people's pets?
Right, because we know you're not allowed to post pictures of other people's babies. People are
that's insane. That would be an insane thing to do.
Tess Barker, hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Wow.
This is a week of Tess Barker because she was my guest on the Monday episode this week. And I said, you know what? I can't live without you. You come back right away.
It feels so good to be right back.
Yeah, and this is like one of the... Because Jesse was on at the end of last year.
Yeah.
You might be one of the fastest intervals ever.
Oh my God, Allison.
Yeah.
Was that your first time just the other day?
That was my first time already back for another one. This is
Holy
really,
shit.
really serious.
Don't take that the wrong way.
No,
You're
never
available because you have a job that makes it so you can't record.
Hard to do this.
Yeah.
Yes. So, which by the way, just for what it was worth, I like listened to my with you just to make sure I didn't. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I didn't like repeat myself or anything like that. You know?
Oh, I love that you did that.
I do want to apologize to all the listeners for I had like a cough because I have small kids, you know, and like I'm constantly sick because of them, and like. Holy fuck! I sounded tubercular. I was like it was like doing a podcast with Doc Holliday. Like you could I just every 3 seconds I was coughing.
I remember, and I began coughing too. I remember.
I know. And so anyway, I listened to it at double speed too because I was like,
it just like
and it sounds insane. So anyway, I will do my best not to do that this time.
How's your
promises.
pharynx today?
Okay, so far. So we'll see
right.
how it goes.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jeff Fox, hello.
Hi, Allison. It's good to be here. Wait, do you hear some weird noise?
There could certainly be like a mole in my butt.
It's making a scratching noise?
How long ago was that?
That was last week. You already forgot about the mole in your butt? You've become fast friends with the mole in your butt?
I was talking about, like, that's a dermatology situation.
Yes.
I don't think there's a mole in my butt. We were talking about, the guest was Stephanie Wilder-Taylor. We were talking about skin checks at the dermatologist. And she was saying that she doesn't want to go to a male doctor because it feels like invasive, you know? And I was saying that I did go to a male dermatologist kind of recently. Before that, I went to a female dermatologist. And before that, I didn't get a skin check for like 20 years. But anyway, I found the skin check to be very much just like a quick kind of like once over. And they just they pulled my underwear out a tiny bit and just kind of looked. It was not a very thorough check. Hence, there could be a mole in my butt.
It'll go undetected by this man.
That's right. This
Men.
this mid-white man with a stethoscope who thinks that, what were you going to say, Jesse?
I was just saying, like, I don't know what's worse, not knowing if you have a mole in your butt, or if you do, then they have to, like, burn it off, which is...
Right.
I like getting moles burned off.
You do?
Oh, yeah. It feels productive. It's quick. The smell is very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But if you can get past that, just hold your breath. It feels good after.
Wait, I have a question. I said yeah, as if I've had a mole burned
You've
off.
never had one burned off?
No, I had, they biopsied them, but that doesn't involve burning.
Well, it's very unscientific. It's actually the opposite. They freeze it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It feels
Oh,
like burning,
okay.
but they...
I had one little
If there
thing.
is somebody
I guess
who
it wasn't
knows
on
dermatology,
fire.
they'll be very upset. But
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
we're just fucking our way through this
No.
explanation. But yeah, it's like some kind of like liquid nitrogen or
Yes.
something that freezes
Yeah.
it. So.
And that
I
has a
just
smell?
had one right there. So yeah, see.
But there's a
And then-
smell, right? Like your flesh.
I didn't notice
reacting.
that, but I don't disbelieve you. But
That's my main takeaway was I liked everything but the smell.
I know what did I smell recently then? Because I know I smelled something burning. I mean, I think I had something.
It's a stroke. It's a sign of that.
Popcorn?
It smells like toast, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
So wait, though, what made them decide to just freeze it off?
It seems very arbitrary to me, and
Okay.
sometimes it feels like I don't know. This is if you've ever worked in the getting notes from an executive in the TV business. Sometimes it feels a little bit like I guess I have to give some notes, so they just arbitrarily will do that.
Right.
That kind of feels like the dermatologist to me. Sometimes it's like oh, there's a thing, and I got to do a biopsy, and they'll like carve it out, and it's like okay, cool, that seems legit.
Right.
They're sending it to a lab, but then other times he just goes around and squirts freezy shit.
Does
on
he
your
tell you
face.
ahead of time?
No, not really. He's just like,
Really?
okay, yeah, there's one, and then he'll just.
Does he have
right,
an
and then,
office,
like,
or is this just some guy?
No. Yeah, like I don't know. He wears a lab coat, so I think he's legit. But
Okay, that seems legit.
He's next to the dumpster behind the Del Taco, but he's wearing a lab coat. So
And
Yeah,
it's
that
actually
means he's
Windex
legit.
he's using, but
Uh-huh.
yeah.
See, the guy, the man, this mediocre man, saw two moles that the woman from the year before, she didn't think there was anything that needed to be done with them, and then he's like, oh yeah, we gotta look at that. And then it just made me think, like, is he aggressive or is she too lackadaisical?
I feel like what probably happens is some like old ladies complain that like you didn't do anything, you didn't burn anything,
Right.
you didn't do any of the freezy shit.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, well, I guess sometimes we just have to do freezy shit,
Right, just
so,
to-
like, yeah, so that the people leave satisfied as though I actually did something here.
Right.
So
Right.
then-
Sort of like, and this is very cynical, but someone said something like, don't go to a termite company. They'll always say you have termites.
oh.
Okay.
I do feel that way about the dentist.
Yeah.
I think they'll always find some work to give
Always
you.
find something.
Yeah, and I think it's got to be related to the fact that we don't really have dental insurance in this country, and they know they have you by the balls. It's the bones in your face. What are you going to do? Not trust them?
And cavities are weird. Like, I thought a cavity was like a mole. You see a mole. There's a mole. It's weird looking. Check. Let's get rid of it.
Quick, just mirror everyone. Is everyone picturing the animal mole when anyone says mole? Because I am now, because I think I actually saw, not only because the way you set up the drop, but I saw like a gopher pop out of a hole recently.
I was imagining an East German spy. That's what I
Well,
was thinking of.
as long as we're both, it's taking us both a moment to adjust to we're talking about a skin thing. Okay. You were saying, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. Cavities, what one dentist sees on your tooth is a cavity. Another dentist would think that's not a cavity. Like, it's not a clear thing.
Exactly.
So they're just making it up.
You get second opinions when you go to the dentist?
No, but I forget how I figured this out. I went to one dentist, and he was like, "No, you're fine." And then I went to another one a few months later. He's like, "Oh, you have tons of cavities." And I thought, I couldn't have gotten 10 cavities in 6 months.
Right. And then it's that thing of like, do you want the aggressive guy or do you want the guy that's lackadaisy? Because it will eventually rot in your face if the lackadaisy guy's wrong.
Right.
Well, but I posit the order of those two things happening. You went to a dentist, and they were like, "You're fine." And then a couple months later, you went to a different dentist, and they were like, "Your mouth is all fucked up."
Right.
I'm not a scientist, but what did you do in those 3 months? It's very possible.
I didn't.
Did you have a diet of
somehow
only jawbreakers?
Just utterly fucked your teeth in a matter of months.
I was on the Pixie Sticks diet, but I always brushed afterwards.
See,
so I didn't
there was something
think.
What did you brush with, though? Peanut butter?
Orange soda.
See? Now we're getting
You know
to
what?
it.
Now.
I think
Here, you're throwing
that's
the
where
whole-
my plan
Could
went
be it.
south.
Fucking orthodontic community under the bus. Now we get to the bottom of it.
Well,
What's you?
So my kids, how old were you when you had your first cavity?
Oh,
I
have
was.
no memory of that. I have no idea.
Yeah, my kids are 5 and 7, and Elliot has had he already has a filling in a baby tooth, and then they like painted this stuff called SDF, which is it's sodium diamine fluoride or something.
Aren't they the ones that kidnapped Patty Hearst?
Yes, yes, it was Sirhan, and the SDF. Wait, did Sirhan
No,
have anything to do with?
He killed RFK.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right church, wrong pew.
I got in a stupid online fight with someone. I get in a lot of stupid online fights these days on Threads, but because he meant to say October 7th and he said January 6th, and I would not let it go because I'm like, how can you confuse these two dates? They're both very recent,
Yeah.
and they're like both seared into my psyche at least. Like, how can you confuse them? The fact that you confuse them to me makes it seem like you learned about them in a textbook. Like, and this is all a roundabout way of me excusing forgetting what Sirhan, how do you say it? Sir squared, and thinking he had anything to do with Patty Hearst. So wait, who? Patty Hearst? Oh, because I'm thinking of PLO. That's also not Patty Hearst, or was it?
No,
It's not.
PLO is Palestinian Liberation Organization.
And that,
No, SLA were the ones that kidnapped.
yes.
Patty
See, it's
Symbionese
all
Liberation Army.
it's all a jumble in my head
That's okay. Yeah.
because it's all from when I was real young.
It's all from the same era.
Exactly. Okay, anyway. They paint this stuff on which like arrests any decay, but it like turns black, so there's a downside to it. It creates like a dark spot on the tooth, on the back of the tooth. But anyway, the point is, and now the last time we went in, my kids have even more cavities, and every time we go in, almost every time they want to do x-rays, which I just go with. I go along with it because I don't want to neglect anything. But at the same time, I'm concerned about the radiation, but I don't know if I should be. I know you guys both went to dental school. What do you think? Oh, I know where I was going with this. Where I was going with this is I am tempted to get a second opinion because especially cavities in baby teeth.
Isn't it just a wash? He's going to lose it anyway.
Yeah, and these are cavities that I think I don't know if they're feeling them with their tools. They're detecting them on an x-ray. I just think, to Jeff's point, like maybe someone else, maybe it's in a gray zone.
Yeah, they're disposable
or a gray
teeth.
Tooth.
They're disposable teeth.
Yeah.
Like what's the fix?
Well, they say that the molars, they're going to have them till they're like 10. So
But still,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
pull it then. He's getting a new one.
I am very much looking forward to the next time I'm on this podcast, and then I listen back to this one so I can try to piece together what Sirhan had anything to do with any of that. Because I tried to follow along to the second half about the X-rays and everything, but in my head I was like, wait, why did that come up? And I couldn't but I don't want to
It's
backtrack.
the acronym. It's the
I think
acronym
the
for the
listeners
because
are really
I said
following along.
I said SDF, which is the stuff that they put on
that's the black
cavities. Yeah,
stuff they put on a
yes,
cavity.
it's
Got
in
it.
that stops the
Right.
decay.
That was easy to get to the bottom
Yes,
of.
it solves the cavity, but
Right.
it turns the tooth black. And then Jeff said, weren't they part of kidnapping Patty Hearst?
So
And then
it's-
Right.
It's the standard. Allison's telling a cohesive story, and I sidetrack it with a not very funny joke, and then everything goes to hell.
Okay.
And here we are.
What?
don't
Very
you
off the rails.
dare call my stories cohesive. No listener will agree with that.
It's like another 9-10.
That's
See what I
right.
did. I called back
I
to
love it.
incorrect dates in American history.
So I think I might get a second opinion.
Yeah, well,
It just
I
seems like
think
that's
it's
a pain in the
molars.
ass.
I get it. So yes, like if it, well, I don't even think you can. Can you get cavities in your front teeth? I don't know. I don't.
Yes,
think, I bet
that's where the
any
SDF
dentist
is,
would
yeah.
be super annoyed with us for just speculating about this now. But
I'm sure we'll hear from them.
But if it was a front one, like I wouldn't bother because they will lose those in
Yeah.
the first couple of years. But
Right.
yes, like the back ones, they are stuck with them for a while.
How
What do I
often do
know?
your kids get X-rays, dental X-rays?
I don't know. My wife takes them to the dentist.
Mm.
I pull the teeth though. I do that.
That's the
You
fun
do?
job.
So yeah, it's like a dad gig. I think like.
My kids just let them. Well, Owen hasn't lost any, but Elliot just lets it come out on its own.
Well, they just like falls out. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
We're like worried they'll swallow it or something. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like so.
And then what? Tooth Fairy won't come?
Yeah, kind of. Or then they'll just have a tooth in their stomach, and I mean, I know it'll eventually come out, but it's
Yeah.
still like that doesn't seem ideal.
Right.
So yeah, we
What's your method?
You just take a rag and you just like
Oh.
yank it, and my son really digs it. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck yeah, because he knows the tooth fairy's coming. But my daughter just lost her first one just this past week.
Oh wow.
And it was a 20-minute conversation to get her comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Before I could.
Is it
Do
kind
it.
of like going bungee jumping with a friend? Like you can't let him freak out. You got to let him just do it.
Yeah, well, it was just like I didn't want her to have some like weird, scarred.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, get over here, and I just yank it out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is where I was getting to that point because it was like at the 18-minute mark, it was like, fuck, we got to do this regardless. Like, so you're gonna have to be cool with it. I'm trying to make you cool with it, but at some point, I'm just gonna pull it out of your face anyway.
Yeah.
And my son, who had it done many times, was like very cool about like making her feel better about it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was very sweet. I gave them both props for how they handled it because she like then learned that like a thing that she was scared of wasn't so bad.
That's
and then
great.
He like stepped up and was like
Yeah.
a cool big brother. So it all worked out great. And in hindsight, she was just like, that wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? So it was like, hell yeah. Like I feel like I really that was like a good dad
Yeah.
moment.
Hell yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
great.
yeah. But I like it. It's fun I'm not gonna like yank people's teeth for no reason. But like there is something satisfying about like it's super wiggly and you take a rag and you just So
Yeah.
How much like torque?
not
is that
much.
the right word?
Not-
How much
not much.
pull
I mean,
do you
it
need?
is a pull, like you notice, but like
Yeah.
I feel like yanking a hair out of your head. Like it
It's that
gives
easy?
that much resistance.
Huh.
So, well, when it's like super wiggly,
Right.
and like it
When
was
they
a
could,
matter
like,
of
turn
it, was
it, flip it
bedtime,
around.
and it was like this is probably gonna fall out in her mouth while she's sleeping,
Yeah.
and that seems not ideal. So we gotta
Right.
get it out. So we did, So
Right. And then did the Tooth Fairy come that night?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they have a little treasure chest they got from the dentist. Like one of those, like a little plastic treasure chest.
That's good.
So, yeah.
We have tried. I bought Tooth Fairy pillows and things, and Elliot is just committed to like barebacking that tooth under his pillow.
Yeah.
He just wants it just swimming under his pillow.
Right.
And
And that's difficult to actually
Yeah.
retrieve while they're
Yeah.
sleeping. Yeah, it's
It is.
more for you to. Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't even think about that.
yeah.
It's crazy
But
that
my son added this fucking mythology that doesn't exist. I've never heard of.
Oh, what is it?
Which is like, where the fuck did you learn it? He was like, and then the tooth fairy takes your tooth and it becomes a star in the sky. And I was like, what is that shit?
Oh, that's
I
sweet.
love that.
It's like, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna add the star in the sky part because then forever it's like, which one is my tooth? And it's like, I don't
Right.
remember what I told you last time.
Right.
So like, I don't want to get involved in the
Yeah.
geography of the sky in this. So, but it was interesting that it's like, oh, I guess like he must have heard that from another kid at school, or
Right.
Some shit.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's very
It was
sweet.
cute, but I'm not gonna start doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird because I also I had a Tooth Fairy pillow, but I also remember just sticking my tooth under my pillow, and then I'd wake up and there'd be like $2 under there,
Yeah.
which Tooth Fairy pays so much more these
What
days.
does the Tooth
It's-
Fairy pay these days?
I'm curious what you're gonna say because
Well,
inflation has not reached my house. The tooth fairy Inflation does not hit the tooth fairy in my house very much.
We fucked up because we gave him 10 for the first one.
Yikes.
No, it gets worse.
Okay.
And then when the next one came around, we're like, we can't give him 20 again. We should have never started with 20. Like, we can't do, but I do think that it would be okay if, like, the first tooth gets more than the, anyway, Daniel handles this.
Yeah.
So, he gave him 20 for the next tooth. And then Elliot came in and he's like, because we thought
Did you not anticipate that you'd be losing more teeth throughout the next few years? With a second child as well?
It was the stupidest thing.
Okay.
But here's the thing. We thought, well, we set it at 20. We don't, I guess we don't want to deal with tears tomorrow. Elliot came in and he's like, the tooth fairy gave me more this time. God damn it. We should have written down what. So we
oh, no.
Yeah,
so
ourselves. It had been 10.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So wait, what's the tooth fairy do at your house?
$3. It's
really?
We have a $3 tooth fairy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised you got 2 as a child because I don't know where the fuck that comes from. But
yeah,
like I got loose change from the tooth fairy for sure.
I think I got 1 or 2. But like as a kid, it takes a while till you understand the value of money, right?
I know.
Like,
it's insane. It's insane that we did this because he also would have been happy with 3.
Yeah.
I mean, my niece is like finding change on the ground still.
Like, I think maybe the last tooth, maybe he'll get a bonus. The kids will get a bonus on the last one.
Ours won't. Ours is going to have to
not.
go considerably down. Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing that happened the other night. We were going around the table and saying things that we are grateful for, which is something that we did in the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I forget why. Just to get through the pandemic or something. I think that like I'd heard that this is a good idea to. Anyway, we haven't done it for a really long time, so we decided to do it again. And Elliot said, "I'm grateful for Jesus Christ, because he's the reason we're here. I believe."
Okay. Huh.
And Daniel and I were like. I think we were thinking the same thing. Like, what's happening? Yeah. But more importantly, where's he hearing this?
Right.
We have had a zero conversation about religion in this house.
Okay.
Not like my thing is like I don't want to impress my views upon them, and I want them to sort of come to whatever it is. We don't like practice a religion, so I want them to kind of come to whatever it is on their own. And they'll say things like they have different theories about what happens when you die. When they ask, I usually just say like, no one really knows. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And
it's a real pass the buck kind of answer.
I know.
It's kind of a bullshit. They know it's bullshit when you do that, by the way. They're like, fucking mom doesn't know.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder if my lack of saying anything is leaving him prey for whoever is feeling. So anyway, I'm like, did he hear this in a video? Daniel honed in right away and was like, and mentioned the name of a friend. Does this friend talk about Jesus? And he's like, a little. So I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from, but someone is preaching to my son.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Wow. This was recently or this was during the pandemic?
No, this was like, today is Monday and this was Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A recent development.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it could be. I mean, YouTube... Because I feel like some of those cartoons are low-key Christian, right? Like the vegetable
This is high-key Christian. Oh, yeah, VeggieTales?
Yeah.
This is high-key Christian, though.
But
he said, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm, good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's into it.
Yeah. At least he's not like asking if he can measure his Phaeton levels or whatever.
Right.
Maybe it's like one of those like John 3:16 signs. It's the first time that ever worked on anybody. You know what I mean? like he was watching a baseball game or something. And
right.
Those loons, and he was like, "Oh my god, what does that mean?"
Find
out. I looked it up.
Means.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I know we've moved on and I want to go back to this, but this ties into the pandemic and the Tooth Fairy, and I realize why we set the $3 precedent.
Please.
We did. And it was because it was while we were on strike that my son lost his first tooth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
my son, very cutely, and I think I did say this on the last podcast, but I don't know, but it said that I hope that I lose this tooth while Dad's on strike so the Tooth Fairy brings us some money, which was very sweet.
Aww.
It was such a sweet thing.
That's
and
so
simultaneously,
sweet.
Like, I really had to, like, stop myself from going, like, motherfucker, it's going to cost me money. Like, I'm a tooth fairy. Like, but I didn't want to ruin it for him. So and then, sure enough, he lost his tooth, and I had to pay him $3.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It all worked out.
And I just remember what I was going to say about the tooth floating under my pillow. It's amazing that I would go to sleep and wake up with money under there, because now, if someone tried to get under my pillow, I would be awake before they're even near my bed. Like, I am...
Right, because nobody's allowed to touch your gun.
Exactly. Yeah. And I keep it in my gun pillow, which is under my pillow. I guess most kids are just very heavy sleepers. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
how are we getting in and out of their pillow?
I like pick the children fall asleep in our bed, when we put them to bed, and then I pick them both up and just throw them in their bunk beds, and they don't even stir. So yes, children sleep far more soundly.
Right.
That makes sense.
Like if somebody actually physically picked me up and threw me into a different bed, I would probably
wake up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. How do the bunk beds work out for you? Because we have bunk beds for them, but Elliot sleeps in the bottom bunk, and then Owen sleeps on a mattress on the floor next. Like, no one's graduated to the upper bunk yet.
Oh yeah, no, my son took to the top bunk right away. He wanted it, and we had bunk beds when I was a kid, and I was the older brother, and I explained to him that, like, this is the older brother bed, and it's super cool for that reason.
Oh.
And so he was like, fuck yeah, I get to the top view or whatever. And then my daughter sleeps on the bottom bunk, and it's fine. It's just they are now the weight that my wife can no longer.
Oh yeah,
hoist him into and she's 5'3" or 4, and she's gonna hate me that I said that. I think she claims she's 5'5", but that's fucking crazy. I'm 6'4", so
blowing up her spot.
So it's far easier for me. So but now it's my problem every single night is I have to dump him into the top bunk. So, but there will come a time where that's probably untenable for me too.
Right.
Not because as he gets heavier, I get older too.
Yeah. No, I'm already at that point with mine where, in an emergency, I could, but I can't casually swing them around.
Like my wife, if there was an emergency, that superhuman strength kicks in and she could grab them both, I imagine. But yeah, they're each 50 plus pounds now. So.
There's a ladder on these things, right?
Yeah, but they're sound asleep. So they'll fall asleep.
Gotcha.
They won't fall asleep.
So wait, they both fall asleep in your bed every night?
Yeah, because they won't. We still. I don't know if this is, but that we still have to read to them and be there until they fall asleep.
Yes.
And then once they're asleep, we scuttle the fuck out of there. And we trade off. So it's my night tomorrow night, and I'll do that and whatever, and then we go and do whatever, my wife and I, and then when she's ready to go to bed or I am, then we dump them in their bed.
Yes.
Kind of
we
because they won't you can't just put them in the bunk beds and go to sleep because they'll just fuck around. So
we have a similar thing, but we do the bedtime in their room.
Yeah.
So that then we can just leave the room. But this is probably easier because the one mattress is on the floor. I don't know how you'd do it with the bunk beds.
The bunk bed, it is a very children-y bunk bed. So the lower bunk is essentially on the floor.
Right.
It's maybe 5 inches off the floor.
Okay.
Or more, 6, whatever. It's low.
Could you go home and measure, please?
There's no, you can't slide anything under it. It's on the floor.
Got it.
And then the top bunk comes up to here, which is not helpful. I know this is
chest high,
listening medium.
About as tall as your wife.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So. Anyway.
So what should I do about my son's burgeoning religiosity? Ooh. I think nothing is the actual answer.
Yeah, I think nothing but keep an eye on it.
Yeah, because Daniel was like, what if he says, hey, I want to go to this church.
Right.
With them or something, which I actually would be like, it's fine, but I don't want to be so, I do want to still I want to be a good parent, obviously.
Right.
I don't want to.
You haven't given up on that yet? It seems like a lot of work.
I had a larger than life dad who had opinions about everything. Uh-huh. From this book sucks that everyone likes. This, just I think he he was very everyone thinks this is good, whatever it is. This is good, but it's actually bad. That was sort of he had sort of he was an adolescent rebellious kind of guy who was also very funny and charismatic, but at the same time, I think that because I was surrounded by opinions all the time, it might have prevented me from forming my own opinions about a lot of things. And I don't want to do that. At the same time, religion is something that is religion and belief systems and things like that are usually you learn about that from your parents.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it's a twofold thing. So I have a dad that's very much like that, and it has been a fascinating discovery throughout my adult life to go like, oh wait, that's not my opinion.
Yeah,
that I've just absorbed that from my dad.
Right.
And like it comes out like organically, like in real time. Like we went to Disney World when I was a kid, and my dad fucking grumbled about it the whole time, like he hated it, right? And he was just bitching about, and to the point where then after we left Disney World, like he would use it as like a benchmark frame of reference for things that suck, you know. So like in conversation, people would be like, "Oh, there's so much." It's like, well, at least you weren't in fucking Disney World, you know, like that kind of thing, you know. Like it was like that. So then, like I went to college, and I had a roommate who was an adult Disney weirdo who wore like Disney jammies to bed and shit like that, you know, and they were like a family who vacationed at Disney World every year, you know, and I was just like, that's so fucking weird. What a bunch of dopes going to Disney. It's not even that great, you know, like it sucks, right? And I just started doing that, and then...
How lovely for your roommate.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were friends. We were friends in high school and everything like that,
Okay.
too, but it was still an embarrassing. He had like the Sorcerer's Apprentice tattooed
Oh, wow.
on his arm, and like, yeah, so it was a shameful behavior on his part for a fucking 18-year-old young man going to college.
Yeah.
He had Disney sheets or whatever. It was sad. Anyway.
Did he have a girlfriend or anything?
He did. As a matter of fact, he had my ex-girlfriend, and they got married. That's another
Maybe
story.
this wasn't about the Disney.
So this is separate. It's a whole separate thing. But so then I come out here, and then a friend of mine was like, hey, you should take your girlfriend, who's now my wife, to Disneyland. And I was like, nah, it's stupid. I don't want to fucking go there. It's going to suck. And then he was like, no, for real. Like, and he was able to get us tickets because he worked at something at Disney. And he was like, for real, like, you know, girls like it. Like, you know, you'll be a good date. So I go, and it was goddamn magical, and I had the best time. And I was like, I had such a crisis of conscience afterwards. I was like, wait a minute, why have I spent so many years, like, resenting Disney? And then I remembered the time I went. I've only been there one time, and I was like 8, and it was fucking magical then too. Like I loved it, and I like realized I wasted like 30 years, like just kind of shit talking Disney, and it was not my opinion at all. And then simultaneously, it made me very grateful that my dad was not a racist.
Right. For me, thank God it's just lima beans and James Joyce.
Right, exactly.
No,
that my
no
dad,
relation.
I'm curious about that. But like that my dad, like was always like, fuck Disney, and not about Jews or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just like, oh, neat. Like so.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, it does show how people just absorb the racism too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not to exonerate racists in any way, but you have to at some point take some personal ownership. But I've had a bunch of those throughout my life where it's like, oh, I don't actually dislike this. It was my dad who did. So I get that impulse to not do that. Want to do that.
Right.
I had that with Yoko Ono. It wasn't until like 5 years ago that I realized like she's cool.
Oh, okay.
My parents majorly brainwashed me to believe that, like, she's this terrible person who broke up the Beatles.
Okay.
And I was like, no, she was just
that was what everyone thought back then.
Yeah.
But that's not true. I don't.
No, I mean, they were going to break up anyway.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah, she just got blamed for it. She really had nothing to do with the Beatles' demise. It was like Paul and John were having creative conflicts, but John had just started marrying Yoko, and they were kind of like stunt queens together. But like Yoko Ono is in her own right a pretty innovative and cool artist.
Okay.
And I had this like terrible bias against her my entire adult life because of my parents.
Is this something so Tess has a new podcast called Pop Mystery Pod?
Yeah. Actually, this week's episode is about Disney. I was like, that's so funny. That yeah.
Are you going to do a Yoko Ono episode, though?
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean,
maybe,
Maybe you need to revisit.
Yeah.
I just think...
But we still have not addressed the religion thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The religion
thing. But about the dads being that way, or parents being that way, maybe it's only dads. I think...
Dads love being contrarians.
They do. And I just think it can make your kids' world very small. Inadvertently. And also, my dad always was like, I'm not one of those parents... I'm not one of those shitty parents who tells their kids what to think. You guys can think anything. You could think this stupid thing if you want. You know, like the irony is he really thought that he had instilled in us this freedom of thought. And we thought that we had freedom of thought too. And it's only, you know, sort of similar to you, Jesse, as an adult that I realized all these ways that I felt that I didn't have. I couldn't like this, or I couldn't do this, or like those kind of people do this thing, and we don't like that. And,
right.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'll say this about the religion thing. I grew up in a city where there were a lot of Mormon people, so that was like even if you were not Mormon.
Wait,
like,
Camarillo is heavily
there
Mormon?
are so many Mormons in
know that.
Camarillo. Yeah, like
Where's Camarillo?
it's like 45 minutes north of here.
Really?
It's on your way to Ventura.
Okay. Huh. It's a little Mormon.
They call it
enclave.
Little Utah. Just
Literally, it's so I didn't even it was normal to have like friends. So that's like what you would do on the weekends is you would go to Mormon dances. I learned CPR at a Mormon class. So I was around a lot of like religious shit that was not my religion when I was younger. And if it makes you feel better, it didn't rub off on me at all. So I think like part of it probably is just him like it's more of a social thing and it's him wanting to have common ground with his friends. And so I think it'll probably just naturally evolve.
Yes. Yes. It's more the question of like, is someone religiously grooming him? If he's just repeating what his friends are saying, that's totally fine. It's more like, is someone trying, but
this is fascinating. This is like a mirror universe of like exact conversations that are going on in reverse in other parts of the country.
Yes,
now.
right, totally.
Yeah.
Like, why is he saying that you can love who you want to love?
Yeah. They're ungrooming.
Yeah, like is there, but it's not like he has tons of relationships with people that I'm not aware of. Like it could just like a friend's mom or something like that, you know? Or I don't know. I got to retrace anywhere he goes that I'm not aware of. I don't know.
So I went to Catholic school my entire life.
Okay.
But didn't go to a Catholic school from preschool through the university level, exclusively Catholic schools. And I am a firm believer in the Catholic school education system. And so, full disclosure, both of my kids go to Catholic school.
Okay.
That being said, we are not like Catholic people per se. You know, like we don't like. I have a lot of issues with the like hierarchy of the church. That's stupid. Like military style. Like, oh, the cardinal is more important than the bishop. Like that's a fucking nonsensical.
Sounds like chess.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's utter nonsense to like whatever do something because the Pope said or not said, right? But I think that the Catholic education system is very solid, and so we will always because so my kids come home saying stuff like that a lot, and then we will then give them alternate perspectives. And it's like, well, yes, that's what Catholics think, but you know, in other parts of the world, you know, Buddhists, for example, because my wife has like a Buddhist wheel tattooed on her arm and shit like that, and so like they explain, like we will take the time to like explain, like yeah, that's like how some people think, but that's not like for sure the way that it is, right? So we make sure we do that. But
That feels like passing the buck a little bit.
what? How? What do you
Well,
mean?
because neither you nor I are saying, here's what I believe.
Well, no, I mean, like I said, like, look, I was raised Catholic. I mean, my parents are super Catholic, right? Like, my parents are like knighted by the Pope, like for real. Like, they have like a
Your mom too?
yeah. Like they're
I
both.
didn't know
like,
ladies can be knighted by
they're
the Pope.
very like high-ranking lay officials in the Catholic Church, right?
Wow,
Like, yeah.
okay.
So.
Do you get a certificate or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a certificate. It's framed on their wall in their house. And they have like a bunch of like Catholic trophies of some sort, right? Like, yeah, like I have a buddy whose kid is like a world-class BMX biker. Like he's 13 and he's like won competitions in like Kazakhstan or whatever. So he has like a whole room like full of bike trophies. My parents have that, but for God, right? Like they have just like
so
like
cool.
walls of shit that like they have been given for the Thomas More Society and whatever the fuck else. Like all
I
those
like
things,
it. They've
right?
like gamified.
Yeah.
They've gamified it.
You get a
There's
lot of-
different levels you can get. It's also like an MLM a little bit.
Well, I don't know what those initials are.
oh.
I'm sure you're
Pyramid
saying them
scheme.
right too. By the way, the initials.
Oh yeah, she's saying it right.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
it's a multi-level.
It has to do with
marketing.
Patty Hearst.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
multi-level marketing
I do.
is,
I
right?
do. I didn't know what the acronym
Yeah,
was.
and
Okay.
my understanding from watching the LuLaRoe documentary is like as you ascend higher, it's also kind of like NXIVM, which as you ascend higher and higher, there's like different prizes you can get and things like that.
right.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. I guess there's a way in which it's like that, but they like worked at the church, right?
Okay.
So that's like their deal. But anyway, so like there's no getting around that we are like. My wife
Catholic?
is not, but that
Okay.
my side of the family is a very Catholic family.
Right.
So I don't like not take ownership of that, but I also go like, you know, it's not. This has never come up. But were my son or daughter to go like, why can't women be priests?
Right.
I would just go because it's a dumb thing that they do. Like I wouldn't hesitate to do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? But But I think that there's no harm in the value system.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So,
Well, yeah, that's what I ended up, because then Owen, my younger one, said, was Jesus a real person?
right.
And I said, yes, he was. And then I said, what did I forget? I said, Jesus had taught a lot of really great things, or had a lot of really great ideas. He said a lot of really great things, like we should be nice to people. And then Elliot was like, I thought that was, and then he got the name wrong, but he's like, I thought that was Martin Luther King.
Aw.
Right.
Oh my God. What did he say about Martin Luther King? He said, didn't Martin Luther King teach that black people have to be nice to white people? And I said, no.
You have badly misconstrued
Yeah.
that talking point.
And so then Daniel and I
would
both...
be more concerned at who indoctrinated him with that talking point.
I know. That's Burbank Public Education for you.
That
Right,
teacher
see?
and the
We don't-
dermatologist both need a job
Yeah.
review.
No, and I said, no, it's the other way around. And then he really was digging in, like, and I was saying, like, it's about not treating people differently because of the color of their skin. And then Daniel's like, but at that time, people, were really mean to black people. So it was really more about how everyone needs to be, white people need to be nice to black people. And then Elliot's like, well, isn't it the same? He really was digging in, and I'm like, well, isn't it basically the same thing?
And then he said, how come there's no White History Month? And you were like, what the fuck have you been watching?
Exactly.
That's when he said, all lives matter.
Yes.
Where did you learn that?
Right. And then he said, do we have a flag? Can we turn it upside down? Isn't that so
What the
weird?
fuck? Why would he? Where would he have learned that shit?
I'm joking about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I fell for it.
Then
I'm
he
sorry.
said he'd been hanging out with the Supreme Court.
Supreme
Okay.
Court, yeah.
Wow. I'm a very smart person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a QAnon dipshit that lives like not too far from here. in
Yes,
our
I know.
neighborhood, right?
Wait, is he? I didn't know he's QAnon. I just
there
know
is
that.
a QAnon dipshit. Yes, they had a thing on there. They had a bumper sticker at one point that they have since removed. I think that said "Q sent me" or whatever. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
know that you're
and-
like near my house,
it's between
right?
my house and your house. Yes.
Okay.
Like over that way. Yeah.
Yes, I think Daniel has mentioned this person and their car,
Yeah.
but I didn't know it was Q.
And
Okay.
in the middle, like in the early days of the pandemic, like once I felt like I would start like taking walks at night, right? Like just to whatever, because we were stuck in our house all the time.
Right. You should have done a gratitude list.
Well, and also so that like there were fewer people out, right? And that's what it was like. I didn't know what fucking COVID was all about, but I was like, I want to take walks where I won't really run into people.
Yeah, this is the time when you'd see someone coming, you cross the other side of the street.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And
I still do that.
point of fact, this is a sidebar, but I had a cane that I used to bring around with me, right? And it was like a cool. I like the.
But you make fun of people who go to Disney.
Yeah, but here's the thing. My aesthetic is very like it's been described as like Victorian serial killer, right? Like so like my office is festooned with like taxidermy and shit like that. And like,
Oh,
I've
wow.
never killed anything, but I have a vast collection of taxidermy.
Oh my God.
And like I have like Victorian style wallpaper and like real cool like sconces with like fake fire in it and stuff. Like
My Jesus-y kid loves like
neat.
taxidermy and goth stuff.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
So do I. So like
I
so
don't.
anyway. So the Wolfman movie, right? He has a really cool cane with a wolf head on it, right? Like the original. And so I bought it online because I thought it was neat just to have on the wall. And it just is displayed on the wall in like a little cane holder. Not that I would ever. I don't
There's a
need it.
cane holder?
Yeah, you can get. Well, it's just like two hooks, but they're like decorative hooks, right? And I've used them as a cane holder. And then when I started going on these walks at night in the early days of the pandemic, I was like, I should probably bring this cane with me just to walk around, so that if somebody gets too close to me, I can like push them 6 feet away. That's so stupid, right? So I used to do that, right? Like, so I'd bring this. I didn't need it, but I would like just in case somebody wanted to get too close, I could like get back or whatever. And I did that for like months. And then one day I like was just playing with it and I unscrewed the top. There was a whole fucking sword in there. Like a giant concealed sword. Which
my God.
I had gotten
That's
like
so
stopped.
cool.
Yeah.
And like anybody
They
ever
wouldn't have
checked-
believed you that
right,
you didn't
exactly.
know.
I'm like walking around our fucking neighborhood with a gigantic concealed sword in my fucking. It wasn't in the eBay listing, by the way. I went back and I checked. No
Do you
mention
think
of this
they
sword.
knew for
They may
sure?
not have known there was a sword in there, but so I have a cane that's a fucking full sword, and I was like, holy shit! Like that would have been. like my game plan would have really backfired on me if I had then like the cops were like, "Hey, what do you got there?" And then they found the sword on my possession, and then they would have sent me to like county jail for the night, and then I would have been surrounded by people, and I wouldn't have had my cane. They'd be
like,
away.
"Oh my God, there was a baggie of heroin in my butt.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a chewy brownie."
Yeah. So I inadvertently wandered around our neighborhood with a concealed weapon.
Wow. Do you think? Is this a particular type of cane where people who are looking for this would know what it is, even though the eBay listing didn't say it?
I don't know, but I feel like the type of people that like that kind of shit probably want a secret sword.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
sure.
I'm not one of them. But
I mean, I'm surprised you don't from the rest of your description.
No,
of your office.
I just like the aesthetic of it,
Okay.
right? Like, so, yeah, that's all. Like, do you remember, you lived in New York for a long time.
I did,
Remember
yes.
the Jekyll and Hyde Club?
No.
The Jekyll and Hyde Club
where
was
that?
was a corny theme restaurant, but the theme was like 1940s
Was it Times Square?
horror movies. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I remember that place. Yeah.
Oh, did you just live in New York?
No,
But
but
you
I've
just
been there a
visited.
bunch. Yeah.
And they had like a laboratory level, and they had like a library, and the
sounds
bathroom
cool.
was like hidden in a bookcase, and it was like I went there when I was like 12, and it fucking like just really deeply somehow penetrated that like this is my style,
Right.
Whatever it is, right? And like the bathroom. You would go and wash your hands, and the mirror, like a ghost would appear in the mirror. Like there was just
Oh,
fucking
that's so
cool shit.
Yeah.
And and all the waiters were like actors on like Broadway people or whatever, and so they would like come up and like good evening and whatever, like it had
Yeah.
that like like corny, spooky 40s kind of horror vibe. So that's what I have then done with my adult.
Right.
Only in my office. My wife would not fucking tolerate that shit. in the rest of
The
house.
taxidermy's creepy. There's a store in Burbank called
Yeah, I've been there many
Vulture.
times.
What is it?
Yeah.
Vulture Culture?
Yeah.
Vulture
Uh-huh.
Culture?
Yeah, but that's outrageously overpriced.
It's so I
What does
talked
it run? What's a good price for a vulture?
Well, so, no, it's. I mean, I don't think they probably have a vulture there, but I wouldn't.
For people who have
If
been
I were-
following along, this is the store where my kids wanted the chocolate frogs that I thought they were $14, but they were each $40.
What?
Was it a real frog? covered in
No,
chocolate?
no,
Okay.
it was this like chocolate molded frog. It looked very lifelike. Who wouldn't want to eat a toad?
Sure.
But it was the most overpriced
Oh,
chocolate
man.
thing I've.
That place
I mean-
is absurdly expensive.
A listener wrote in who works with chocolate, a chocolatier perhaps, and was like, "It's actually not overpriced because all the work that goes into it." But
Sure.
for candy, it's overpriced.
For children.
For art, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
But that store was hosting a taxidermy class,
Right.
and my son wanted to go.
Oh, okay.
We ended up not going, but I was like, I can't.
That's a weird. I don't know if I'm
too much
weird,
dead
but that's a
animals.
very specific line in the sand. Like people will then their next question, once they find out that I'm not the one who kills any of the things, they will propose, like, have you ever taken a taxidermy class? I have fucking zero interest in actually skinning a creature and
Right.
figuring out how to fucking wrap it around a shape. Like that does not interest me
That's
at
so
all.
interesting that's the
But
next question because I've
It is
never even
always the
thought
next question.
about
Yeah. So
that.
but no, I just like I like natural history museums, right? So that's the other thing. It's like my office is like a natural history museum. I just have tons of historical bullshit and
Right.
also
So what kind of taxidermy items do you have?
a lot. I have two. Most of them are heads because of the size of my office, right? I don't have like the full critter, but I have
sure.
2 lions. I have 3 bears. I have an ostrich. I have a hyena. A zebra. I have something called a Tibetan goa, which is like the antelope that lives at the highest altitude in the world, so it's very fuzzy.
Right.
I have a bunch of, like a wallaby. Right?
Are these
a whole bunch
they're
of
like
shit, I guess.
busts? Like the kind of thing like on
when
the
you
okay.
see, like heads on a wall. Kind
Yeah.
of thing, like that's what the overwhelming majority.
What's your
of them are.
your ostrich is a head on a wall too?
Yeah, with the neck, so it's like a whole long neck.
Do you name them?
So no, I don't. I know. I
No,
feel
that
like
would be weird.
yeah, right. So I know this seems weird, but
And
yeah.
they don't. Do they smell or anything?
No, they don't. No. So I have a muskox. That's really cool because it's enormous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Your office actually sounds big to accommodate all of this.
Yeah.
yeah, I can show you a picture if you'd like to see it.
I mean,
no
of
one else can
course.
see it, but unfortunately, this is again, I'm violating the rules of
Podcasting.
yes, exactly by showing
okay.
the host a photo. But
While you look for it, Tess, how do you feel about taxidermy? And Jeff, next question, same question for you.
I am like, I always say I'm very unmacabre person. I'm a vegetarian. I'm very squeamish. So I'm pretty far on the other end of the taxidermy spectrum.
so here's one wall.
Oh,
of the office.
This is like. Did you watch True Blood?
That was such a good show.
Okay, it was about vampires. I feel like the bar that they went to, this should be what their office looks like.
So
Whoa.
But you know that Penny Dreadful?
Yes.
It's kind of that look too.
Yeah.
A bit.
And you got a rug as well.
I do, yeah. So.
That's an animal.
Yeah, was that a lion?
Yeah, it's a lion. I have a bear rug on the other side of the room.
Do you have the coolest office of everyone at Kimmel?
I think so. I mean, I get made fun of a lot for it. But this is not my work office, by the way. This is not my office at work. This is my in-home office, right? This is in my house.
That would be a lot to load into like a corporate.
I thought this was your office at work.
No, this is in my house. But I work
this
from
makes
home, too.
Way more sense.
Amount.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I didn't bring any of that shit. I think there's probably rules about having dead animals.
So this is actually in your house, because I thought your wife said no. She's just saying
she said it must stay in the office.
Do you have a bear?
So,
and you have a fish tank too.
I do. I have.
What kind of
fish
is that?
That
have
is
fun for the listener.
No longer a fish that I have, but it's called a popcorn something or other.
Did it die? Did you taxidermy it?
I didn't. But my wife and I have had discussions about our dog, and she's not okay with that. So that's my desk. So. See, it has like cool windows on it that like little display cases.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow. This is very mad scientist.
Right. So if you've ever been to the Jekyll and Hyde Club,
it's definitely giving
very
Jekyll
much
and Hyde.
that vibe. So. And the Jekyll and Hyde Club is closed, and so I am constantly on the hunt for pieces of it.
You have
eBay.
A seal?
So no, that's that's an otter. That's an otter. I know what you're thinking of.
But that's still sad.
I didn't. What it's already deceased. I get them all on eBay, right? Mm-hmm. And I do not pay fucking vulture culture prices, because on eBay you can get terrific taxidermy from people. There's a genre of people who sell taxidermy on eBay who are not professional sellers of it, like vulture culture is. They sell it on that shit's overpriced. Mm-hmm. But there is a whole group of people who've had a otter rug forever,
right.
And their wife is like, get that the fuck out of the house.
Is it mostly men who collect taxidermy?
I believe so. Yeah, I can't imagine that it's common.
I feel like the whole taxidermy economy has to be driven by wives saying, get that the fuck out of my house.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I and to that point, I have somewhere here, which I think is delightful. Oh, here it is. Okay, look. So here is a elk mount that I did not get because elk horns are so huge that you have to, if like in a house like that's like a normal size house, if you don't have like a house with like 3-story ceilings,
right?
Like you'd have to mount this elk like basically on the floor to accommodate its enormous antlers to fit in your fucking, so it would fit under the roof. So anyway, but if you'll notice, this fucking person has the temerity to sell this for $3,000, which is what people would like. It's probably what they'd sell it for there too, right?
Right.
But same fucking elk head essentially. There's somebody on eBay selling it for $500.
Oh, wow.
This is to illustrate my point about. And look,
the taxidermy markup.
Bitching wife is in the photo saying, "Get that shit out of the." See her? She's currently yelling at him
she's
while
so
he takes the picture. Say, "Get this shit out of the house." Are you putting that up? Is this photo for eBay? Right? Like that's what's happening in that moment. And so that's what I mean. A $500 for an elk head is a fucking great price for an elk head, and I don't have the room for an elk head right now. But if I were gonna, there are plenty of people on eBay that are doing that.
Right.
That are like, all right, fine. And then they don't bother to look up how much they're worth, and they just sell it for whatever.
Do you sell your stuff sometimes too?
No, but I might have to at some point, like just to make room for newer, more interesting things.
At what point, so your first date with it wasn't your first date at Disneyland. You're dating your now wife.
No, we were dating, yeah.
At what point do you explain that you're super into taxidermy?
Probably pretty early. Like because I have to do it all the time with work with persons that are working on my house. Like if somebody, I have to like give them a little preparatory heads up.
You wouldn't want to be surprised by that,
right? Yeah. Like when they like, oh yeah, the internet's in here. Oh wait, just real quick, I collect taxidermy. I didn't kill any of this stuff. I just think that it looks cool. That's basically what I give them that speech, right? And then one time some cable guy came over and I did it in the wrong order. And I was like, Eric, come in. I don't kill anything. I was like, no, you got to explain. You got to lay the taxidermy groundwork before you invite a stranger into your house and right away say I don't kill stuff.
Yes, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Anyway.
taxidermy.
Where do you fall on this?
I'm fine with it, but I don't need it in my house.
Okay, sure.
And I think this could all explain culture vulture or vulture culture, is that maybe that person has a huge taxidermy collection and their wife says, get this out of here. And he says, well, but honey, I'm going to open a business and sell it. And then you make it such crazy prices that nobody buys it and you get to keep it.
Yeah, it's like
oh
the
my
producers,
God, yes.
like the business plan is to
Yes. Because
Okay.
that stuff is prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
And my friend was just telling me there's a club I think called the Adventurers Club down in Boyle Heights that's been there forever.
I have been to it many times.
Have you-
It's
and it's-
fucking amazing.
His explanation of it was that it's full of things that the husband died and the wife said, get this stuff out of here, and it all winds up at the Adventurers Club.
Yeah. I was thinking I would donate a bunch of my shit in my will to the Adventurers Club.
Interesting. When I'm at the Natural History Museum and I'm in the, what do they call it? The hall of, where all the
North
exhibits
American
are.
animals and the African
yeah,
animals.
I'm just like, oh, wow, that was a real whatever. But when I see a duckling at Vulture Culture, I'm like, oh my God, that was a live duckling, and now it's standing there. And what happened? It's funny. Like in a museum, I accept it.
Yeah.
But in someone's home, it skeeves me out.
Yeah. Well, but do you see I'm totally fine. I won't be. But does how I've done it skeeve you out? When you just
Actually,
saw
not
the
really.
Look of
It looks
Not-
nice. You've done
You've done a good job.
Yeah.
like I tried to kind of make it sort of museum quality.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 The otter feels sad to me
Okay.
because
It's-
otters are so fucking cute.
yeah, it's very soft, but you would
Of
know
course
that
it
'cause
is.
You've never
Yeah,
pet a dead otter.
I probably
But,
wouldn't want to. No.
But yeah, no, it kind of hangs on the back of the couch, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of. But yeah, no, I have a penguin too, which penguins are hard to get, and this one came from Uruguay, and I think this is an amusing anecdote. I bid on one on eBay and I lost it, and I was bummed because I was like, "Fuck, penguins don't show up that much on eBay, right?" And I really thought that'd be a unique, interesting addition to the collection. And then this guy writes to me privately, DMs me on eBay. He's like, I have
Signed,
I have
Dr.
another
Doolittle.
penguin if you want one. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, let's take this off eBay.
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, oh, what
This
the
is-
fuck's going on? But so I set up a fake email, and just for this purpose, because I didn't want this guy having access to my info.
Right, because you think that
thank you.
he's a penguin murderer?
Well, no, so I wasn't sure, but it's just, I'm talking to a stranger in Uruguay who's
Right.
trying
Black
to let me
market
in
dead penguins.
on a
Yeah.
shady deal on penguins, right? So whatever, it
Right.
doesn't seem on the up and up, so I just want to cover my bases.
Makes
So,
sense.
He goes, yeah, here, I got one. He sent me pictures of it. Sent me a bunch of pictures with I don't think it was today's newspaper, but it might have been as in these are fresh penguin photos. I'm not trying to scam you here.
Fresh penguin.
Like a hostage
Yum.
video.
I'm not saying it was a recently
Right.
killed penguin. I'm saying that he was sending the photos specifically to me.
Yes,
You know,
I see.
These aren't just shitty grabbed off the internet.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I don't see it. I can't find this guy's angle on this, right? How is this a scam? So
It's the same guy who was selling the first one, though, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
on eBay.
It doesn't,
So I was like,
yeah, I don't get scam vibes.
fuck it,
I get
let's
weirdo vibes.
I'll do it because I really wanted it. So I wired him $400, and then he sends me a tracking number, and I'm like, oh shit, this is working, right? And I watch it leave Uruguay, and then it goes to somewhere, and then it gets to JFK in New York, and then it sits there for a month.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what the fuck have I done? And then I start looking up the regulations on is it legal to import and there's all kinds of weird rules about birds.
Right.
You can get in big trouble for the Fish and Game Commission can
Yeah.
really fucking give you a lot of shit for buying because migratory birds are really protected, and if you fuck up the migration but penguins don't migrate. So
Right.
but either way, I was really worried about this, and then just one day, and in that time I talked myself into I've imported a penguin full of cocaine from Uruguay. That's what's actually happening.
This
And
is
that
now
guy
the
has-
sword with the cane all over again.
Right, that this guy has some fucking. It didn't even occur to me that this is the second time that's happened to me on eBay, but you're absolutely right. So I was like, they're investigating now. He has some contact who works in baggage, and that's his cocaine hookup, and there's now a penguin full of cocaine that the feds have, and
Where they're going to come to your house.
exactly. And that
get
I
it.
was just waiting for a knock on my door for 3 straight weeks, and I was very nervous about it. And then just after a month, just a penguin in a box showed up at my door. And I was like, oh, fuck, great, cool. Never doing that ever again. Like, I will only ever buy directly from eBay. But still, it worked out. But I was very freaked out for a while. For about a month, I thought I was a inadvertent Uruguayan cocaine.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the penguin now?
It sits on a very cool. I got this like old antique Japanese rice barrel. Right, it's like very decorative, and it sits on top of that.
How do you decide who goes where?
It's really more of a matter of space.
Okay.
Like I've had to shuffle things around to like fit more stuff.
Now, how do your kids feel about all of it?
They think it's pretty neat. Like they know what.
Are there rules like no touching the?
Yeah, they're not allowed in my office without like me being there. You know, like I lock the door so they can go in. But yes, they like, whatever. I don't see the harm. I think it's probably beneficial for them to like know that a penguin. What is a penguin up close? What's it made out of? Do you know?
Feathers.
Anybody? Yeah. Teeny tiny fucking feathers, like little, like eyelash size feathers.
Wow,
right? Like
tuxedos,
millions.
right? They wear little tuxedos.
Yeah, right. Millions of little eyelash, and like you can like kind of rub it up the other way and see all the individual feathers. Like I think there's some value in knowing that. Anyway.
It is educational. Okay, a question though.
That's it. Sorry, I feel like I hijacked this whole fucking podcast.
No, it's fascinating.
You're definitely the first taxidemy collector that I've ever had an in-depth breakdown from. So this was informative.
I don't speak for all taxidermy. I'll make that clear. There's probably some very spooky dudes out there, and it does bother me anytime you watch a TV show. The guy who's the killer always has fucking taxidermy in the house, and I feel like that gives us a bad rep.
Your people are not represented well in the media.
Every Law and Order. The second you see a guy that has like a fucking dead deer on his wall, you're like, that's the guy who did it. Fuck.
Right.
Son of a bitch. Anyway.
All the taxidermied animals in a museum.
Yeah.
Were those killed for the exhibitions?
Yeah. Well, what's fascinating is the New York. You've probably been to the New York one, right? Both of you guys?
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt personally killed like the overwhelming majority of those things. Like because it'll say at the bottom there's a plaque and it'll say donated by TR, you know, and it's like holy shit. Teddy Roosevelt like gave us this, these elephants, right? Like there's historical value to it too, which I think is extra interesting because I'm also a big history dork,
right.
And so I'm like, wow, that's neat. And then like you take a step back and you're like, Jesus Christ, like he killed the whole fucking family of elephants. Yeah. And then there's like small little birds like on its head, like they're just decoration, you know what I mean? Like, and like other little creatures that just like add to the display that are part of it. It's like Teddy Roosevelt just blew away a whole fucking tableau.
Stuff.
Yeah, like he really shot a lot of things.
Am I making this up, or is that where we got teddy bears from? Because he liked to hunt and taxidermy bears.
Oh, really?
I think, is that
the
right?
teddy bear is named after Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know the exact story, but I think it was more that he was the guy who gave us all the national parks and shit like that. So to kind of coincide with his wildernessy, outdoorsy theme, and the celebration of the national parks,
they made little promotional toys.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Exactly. So
I'm actually unclear the relation. I jumped a few steps ahead. So when I say what I'm about to say, if it doesn't make any sense based on what we were talking about, then I will back up. But I'm unclear on the relationship between hunters and conservation. Because don't hunters say they're helping with conservation?
Sure, yeah.
But how?
Well, so I don't hunt, right? And I'm not like...
I mean, that's what someone who hunts would say. Actually, that's not true. Someone who hunts people would say that.
No, people who hunt have like bumper stickers.
Yeah,
and shit
I know.
But because there are like populations can get out of control and they fuck up the whole ecosystem, right? Like everybody acts like nature is all in balance with itself, and that's not at all the case. Like if you put any I know it's an invasive species, but like lionfish, right? Like dickheads who own aquariums decide they don't want it anymore, and they just dump it in the Atlantic. There never used to be. They're from the Pacific, right? And now there is a fucking just absolute infestation of lionfish, and they're like destroying the entire East Coast.
Oh wow!
Right, and it's just because like it's not like animals like live in harmony with each other necessarily. Yeah. Like you put anything right. So anyway, there is a logic to, and also there's an argument to be made, and it's like all corrupt and fucked up those like trophy hunting things. And people who go trophy hunting are stupid shitheads to begin with, right? Like that's like a dumb thing to like oh, we'll like corral it into a pen and then you can shoot it. That's embarrassing, right?
Right.
Like, but there is a like in its like setup. There's in its purest form. It's like communism. It doesn't actually work, but like the idea isn't necessarily a fucking terrible idea, but you can't get people to go along with it. It's the same thing with like trophy hunting is the principle is that like they're trying to keep the population in check, and you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to kill a lion.
Well, I understand that the money can help.
I think it's also
in theory.
Not a hunter. It might be surprising because I don't eat meat, but I have cousins that hunt and stuff like that, and I think it is also like if you're a hunter, you are someone that likes to be outdoors. Like usually people.
Well, yeah. What made me think of it was the idea that Teddy Roosevelt did all the national park stuff, but also took out a tableau of animals.
Yes.
Repeatedly. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. There's a contradiction in Teddy Roosevelt for sure.
But also like it is. I think there's an immediacy to like the meat with hunting that I think is actually it is much more environmentally sound than like factory farming
and more humane
more humane than if you drive up the 5 and see what we do with the cows there. Like that is so much worse for the environment than some guy that's just out with hunting his own cow and then or deer or whatever and then using that meat all winter.
Yeah. Cow hunting would be super.
Cow hunting would be chill.
That would be super easy. But also, there's like to be said, like there are people in like Botswana that have to live among lions, and they don't love that, And if it were up to the people in that area, they would probably be like, yeah, let's get rid of all the lions so that we can fucking take our kids to school and not be worried about that. And so the government kind of goes like, well, how about we'll control the population. And we'll put the money back in the community. That's what's supposed to happen. It doesn't happen.
Right.
But that's the principle of it, to also make sure that it's like, if people don't want to live around fucking apex predators.
Right.
That's why like wolves almost went extinct in this country, was because everybody's like, anytime they'd see a wolf, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here, and they would kill the wolf. Right. And then that started like fucking up the entire, then there were too many elk, and then the elk were eating too much of the vegetation, and then that was causing landslides, and that was getting in the water, and that was fucking up, and that would go down the Colorado River and fuck everybody, right? Like so that you need them there, but you can't have but you got to control them too. You know what I mean? So like, I will say, it sounds. I'm just arguing the theory.
I
don't necessarily.
I get the theory,
but it's counterintuitive and kind of bullshit. I think, and also, but like I recently read a book about coyotes, which was really fascinating. And one really interesting thing is like they tried for they're still trying to control coyote populations by euthanizing a lot of them because they will come into these cities and people have their cats outside and stuff and they get taken by coyotes. Coyotes are such resilient animals that if they live in an area where there aren't a lot of other coyotes, then the moms, when they have litters, will have a bigger litter.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So they've never have successfully been able to like quote unquote control the population by euthanizing them because they will just go right back up to what it's supposed to be.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah. And I always felt bad for them like living in Los Angeles or living in major cities, but they actually like thrive. They've kind of like exist parallel to humans.
Oh, sure.
And they're making a march eastward. Like they're in New York City now. And over the decades, they've just been like slowly going across the frontier that way.
They're
like
coyotifying it.
Yeah.
I made the mistake one time of participating in Nextdoor, at Nextdoor.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And I learned my lesson pretty early on. Like I was told, like I think probably by my dad or something, like, oh, you should get on it. You can find a plumber or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good.
You can also find out which neighbors of yours are racist.
Yeah. So I don't go on it a lot, but so I especially because of this now. So I was driving and a coyote ran like right in front of my car, right over there on the Chandler, right? And I was like,
oh my God, I forgot for a second that you live in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we're on the same next door.
Yeah. We'd be on the same. Yeah, you're right. And so you may have seen it. So I just posted, hey, I just saw a coyote I just saw a coyote 10 minutes ago on the corner of Chandler and whatever it was, right? Just heads up. And then immediately it's like, where was this? And then it's like, well, and just, when did this happen?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is and then the next is like, coyotes were here first. And
of course.
Like, okay. And then somebody else is like, oh, yeah, so were bears. You want bears to live here too? And it like turned into this fucking gigantic fight on my little post that was just warning people there's a coyote around right now. And I was like, fuck, I got to get out. And I had to like mute all the fucking responses. Yeah. It turned into this enormous fight and it was absurd.
How long ago was this?
Like 2 years ago. I've never been on it since. So.
I didn't see that. Yeah, I only periodically go.
Yeah. What horrible thing could you post on Nextdoor that somebody wouldn't defend?
Yeah, or fight you.
You could start a fight. You'd be like, a guy in a Hitler costume was standing on top of my car and he took a crap on my car. And people would be like, dude, why don't you have a little more compassion? Maybe he had a bad day. Dude. Like, whatever horrible thing,
Totally.
somebody will take the opposite.
Call 311.
Yeah.
Listen. Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend is supported by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropical Smoothie Cafe believes you deserve a little vacay every day, not just once a year. Get on Tropic Time with bright and refreshing smoothies, tropic bowls, wraps, and flatbreads from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Summer mocktail smoothies, which are a fan fave, just hit the pool deck. Summer mocktail smoothies are back, and they're more refreshing than ever, but they're only here for a limited time. Head in and try Island Punch, Mango Berry Cosmo, or Watermelon Mojito. And celebrate National Smoothie Day with Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie on June 21st with bowl or food purchase. Order in the app, online, or in cafe. One bite of the Tropic Bowls, and you'll instantly feel like you're cabana-side. Enjoy sunshine by the spoonful with an acai bowl from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Visit one of Tropical Smoothie Cafe's 1,400 plus locations or order online or through their app. Okay, I say let's do Just Me or Everyone. Let's hear the song.
Java, just me or everyone.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Skadoop-doop. Okay, Jesse, do you have one?
I feel like I've been talking this whole fucking podcast. I feel
Tess,
guilty.
do you have one?
So I do, but I'll wait.
Okay.
I feel like I should wait.
I do. And actually, the one I brought is kind of like Catholic themed.
Oh, interesting.
So I was raised Catholic. I've left, but I don't, practice at all. But I still, it's almost like my version of knocking on wood.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I say something that I don't want to jinx, or if it's like I lost my keys and I hope I find them, I cross myself.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you do that?
No, but I get the impulse.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Did you go to Catholic school?
I went to like CCD and got confirmed and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Neat.
And it's like, I only even kind of really recently realized I was doing it. I do it like so subconsciously, or if it's like something I don't want to happen, or
Did your grandma do it? I bet,
probably.
right?
My grandma
Okay.
crossed herself a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like a grandma thing to do.
Yeah. And she
No
was the one
offense,
that was
I'm
like,
not
no,
saying.
it's such a grandma thing.
Right.
Because my parents were 1 foot out.
Okay.
So I was like the generation after the 1 foot out. So my grandma was like where I got all the Catholicism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knock on wood, like actually knock.
But you got to, right? You got to do some version
You have
of that.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I have superstitious tendencies. It's just that one I have somehow shaken, and I don't. But I totally get the impulse.
Because Catholicism is also very superstitious.
Oh yeah, for
Right?
sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you gotta like. There's the holy water and stuff. Like, oh yeah, like I have. That's a good. So my kids were baptized, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have like a shelf with like a little glass display case. The holy water from it is like in there, like for no reason. But
That's a
it's just
mosquito
in-
vector.
It's sealed in like a little bottle. But
That's
yeah.
kind of neat.
Yeah. So there's that, and I feel like it is somehow magical. But I know it's
Exactly.
not.
Like there's a lot of potions and magical stuff, and like even when the priest will be like, go say whatever 7 Hail Marys or something, it feels very kind of witchy and like magical number.
7
Right.
Hail Marys, does that mean just saying Hail Mary seven
in a
times?
row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like depending what you did, they'll prescribe like a different number of prayers for
Like
you.
when
to
you go to confession.
Right. I
And
would
then
imagine, but do you feel great after you confess and then
Yeah,
do your
as a kid.
absolution? What's the word? Absolution.
Absolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel? My first time, I couldn't think of anything to confess. I lied.
Would you have
You
siblings?
did.
Yeah, I lied. I do have siblings. How'd you know?
Well, no, because that's the go-to. Is like
Yeah.
I fought with my siblings.
That's what I
you know,
said.
like,
I
that's
said
what
I broke
was
my brother's Ninja Turtle.
Okay,
But you
that
didn't
was
really.
not true.
It was not true. I was a dick to him like our whole childhood, but I didn't come up with anything real.
That's perfect because then the next time your
you could
confession
keep
can
it
be that you
vague.
lied.
Yeah, that's true. You did plant the. Yeah, you
That's true.
bought
You
yourself
have a credit
bonus.
for one. You
Yeah,
have a standing credit that
Okay,
you can use
cool.
later.
Okay, sweet. Okay,
but you
sweet.
could have kept it vague. You're just like I fought with my brother or whatever. You know, you didn't have to be specific. you
But I've
know?
already left the church, you guys. So I go back. Redo.
Yeah. So then what did they tell you to do?
It was like go do 3 Our Fathers and 2 Hail Marys or whatever, and then you just go out and do it. And yeah, so I think because I lied, although no, but there were ones after that where I told the truth, and yeah, it feels good to like feel like your record's evened out. I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it did. It felt like clean slate.
Yeah.
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 Do you think for older people who are confessing big things, like, I mean, I feel like the stereotypical one is like cheating on your wife or something. Do you think they feel absolved?
I don't know. Maybe they feel like, yes, like I did the thing so I can get into heaven now, you know?
Are there any rules about reporting? Like if someone confesses to I mean, does that ever happen? That someone confesses to a crime?
Yeah, for sure.
So then what is it sort of like therapists where like if you are going to harm?
If they confess to a crime, the
priest
has to report it.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, but if it's the same with the therapist too. If they,
that's what I was going to say. Like a therapist, it's like if you are going to be a harm to yourself or someone else, they have to report it.
Also, just think about how much even if you're a cynical, like, just on a level, like, like you're not supposed to kill anybody. If somebody confesses to killing somebody, the priest will turn you in, right? Like, but on a completely cynical level, like the church is very concerned with its own image and PR.
Right.
And how much worse would it be if it came out that this guy told a priest he killed somebody and the priest didn't do anything about it?
I mean,
you know
but
what I mean?
A lot of stuff has come out.
Because lawyers, you can tell your lawyer if you killed someone, right?
If he's your own lawyer in the trial, I think. But I think if it's unrelated to the thing.
I think you're not I think lawyers say they don't want to hear it, though.
Okay.
I believe they don't want to know.
I would. If I was a lawyer, I for sure wouldn't want to know.
Yeah.
I always thought priests had to keep it zipped up. Makes sense, though.
No, there's no. There can't. That sounds absurd.
Well, yeah. If there's a serial killer on the loose and he goes and confesses, because then there's the moral thing of like, oh, then you're going to go let this guy keep killing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I'm not an authority, but whatever.
But your parents are.
Yeah, the child of two knights of the Catholic Church. So, I think I can safely speak for all of us and say that no, priests should and I believe do turn someone in if they confess to a serious crime.
Didn't a bunch of comedians just meet with the Pope?
Yes, the other day. It was very odd.
Do we know how or why that happened?
I don't. It was just like a
unofficial
Netflix
is a joke.
Yeah.
Showcase.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's weird. What was that? We don't know.
It was the roast of the Pope. I believe it was. So.
According to CatholicCompany.com, are priests ever allowed to break the seal of confession? Are there exceptions to this rule? No.
I can't. So, look.
They say there's really nothing more to the answer than a direct no.
Okay,
I'm reading this from an internet website.
Okay.
So it's straight from the Pope.
It must be true.
My mom is a canon law judge. That's her position, right? She does church law specifically. Wow. And like, there's only one.
Is she a real judge?
Yeah, well, she was a civil lawyer and then became a Catholic lawyer, right?
And then how is she allowed to move on the chessboard, like just diagonally?
When it's the opening move.
Right. 2 up and 1 over.
So I'm going to ask her this because she will definitively know for sure what the answer is, and I will get back to you.
Please email us, because I'm so curious.
So, but I find that, and if that is, then that is yet another fucking stupid, that if my kids ever ask me about it, I'll be like, that is utterly indefensible. Yeah. Like, that, what a fucking counterintuitive, stupid goddamn thing to do.
I'm just wondering, and I know we don't know the answer, but I'm wondering how often it actually comes up.
Probably not that often. Because I feel like if you did, like,
if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're not actually feeling guilty about it.
It might happen. It might happen more often in a last rites situation. You know what I mean, where somebody's dying and
right.
So
yeah,
I feel like this is a Law and Order trope along the lines of the taxidermy guy being guilty of like
right.
The priest knows who did it, but he can't tell anyone, even though he's going to kill the parishioners.
Right. I don't know.
Wow. Okay, this got me thinking. Okay, maybe this is too dark, but like, do you think all the stuff that was going on with like the assaults that were happening, that there were priests confessing to other priests that they just didn't tell about?
With the molestation.
Because they would have been confessing, the priests, right? Like, that's a guy that would be confessing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the charge, is that stuff was covered up for a long time.
That's
right?
like, why, I mean, that's why it's like extra egregious.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There's a baseline egregious pedophile behavior, and then on top of that is like you're supposed to be some sort of moral authority.
Right.
And you guys were covering it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's very, So
like when that's bad for a pedophile.
Right.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like on the pedophile scale, you're at the worst end of it. I will say, have you guys ever been to the Vatican?
I have not. No.
Oh my God. Like the art there. They have so much priceless shit. You're like stepping over Michelangelo's.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's really, but it's neat. But it's like it's just inconceivable amount of money.
Yeah.
No, I went to the Sistine Chapel, not the Vatican.
Well, the Sistine Chapel is in the Vatican.
Then I did go to the Vatican.
Yeah. Good decorations, right?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. It's also very hot that day, and there was a long line, but it was cool.
Yeah. I think that's one of the selling points of the Catholic Church is the aesthetic of it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Aesthetic.
Yeah. High camp.
Yeah.
Jesse, what is yours?
So I don't know if this completely fits, but actually, so here's the thing that I don't have it. I've not backed this up with any information that wasn't what I was going to say, but it's off that sort of the last rites thing. It's nothing I ever did personally, but I really flirted with the idea of doing it. Is
killing a penguin?
No, I was told when I lived in New York that you could get ordained as a minister of some bullshit, like the Unitary, whatever it is, like the Universal
World
Church of the Internet
or
whatever it is, and then you get that ordination certificate, and then that is a free license to park literally everywhere in New York City.
Really?
Because you minister, there's it's an old school law in the books that ministers have to be able to administer last rites.
Wow.
And so you could just throw that on your windshield and park on a fire hydrant, and they can't. They in theory, this sounds like one of those bullshit internet things that you hear, but I had somebody convince me that this was legitimate, and I'm just not a scammy kind of person usually. I don't usually do that kind of shit, but I was very tempted to possibly do that because it's fascinating.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like there's just no way that that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it might be on a law I feel like you would have to go to court and fight it constantly.
Yeah.
I remember when I was on the Adam Carolla show, we did a live show with Todd Glass, and he's like, what if I told you for $500 a year, you could park anywhere you want in LA?
Uh-huh.
And of course, everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing, And then he's like, just park wherever you want. And like, that's how much the tickets will cost you or something. But two things about that.
That's funny.
One, I think it would actually end up costing you way more. And two, the idea of doing that makes me, and I don't know if it's just because I'm like a nerd, it makes me so nervous.
Yeah.
The idea of just allowing your car to accrue tickets.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem with that is that you are relying on the bureaucracy of some office that is not going to forget to record that you paid for this, and then there's so I wouldn't leave it up to. I don't trust city officials in that capacity to keep an accurate tally of if I'm all paid up.
No, exactly. And I think it's just, if at any point in your life you've been poor, I think just the visceral feeling of getting a parking ticket is something you never really shake. Even if you know that's part of the plan, I think there's this Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the discomfort over that notion.
Well, and also tickets have to be at least $50 now. So if you
not
get
more,
10 of them, that's $500 right there.
They are $50. I just got one. I work in Pasadena where we've got a huge ticket problem. I actually went down a rabbit hole. I saw the guy giving the tickets. He was contracted by a private security agency. So I took a picture of that car. And then I went online and Googled it. Those guys make $18 an hour to give people parking tickets. So I'm like, you think it's worth 2.5 hours of your work that my meter was expired by 5 minutes? Well, you're doing this for $18 an hour? Fuck off. It would make more sense if you were making $25 an hour or something. I don't know, but the fact that it's that low and you're willing to ruin people's day for that little amount of money.
Yeah, you could do almost any job for that price.
Exactly.
It's almost
Why'd
like,
you
did you
this?
pick this?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Because you could work anywhere and not ruin people's day and still make the same amount of money.
That's interesting.
That's a good point.
I looked up the Universal Life Church. Humble brag, I've been a minister of the Universal Life Church for 25 years.
Cool.
And I did not know that this was a feature, but you can, for $5 extra, which is a bit much since I got my certificate for free, get a pass that you can hang on your windshield that supposedly will get you out of tickets. I wouldn't trust it, but you can buy the ticket.
See?
Or the certificate.
Yeah. See, we're onto something here.
Why is that not more widely publicized?
Yeah.
I only signed up for it. I actually performed a ceremony a few years ago for a relative of mine, and she said, "Oh, how long have you?" She thought I got it just to perform her ceremony. I said, "No, I've had this since I think 1999." And then she said, "And you've never performed a ceremony?" I said, "No." And she said, "Well, why did you get it?" And I just said, "Well, because I wanted to put it on when I make an airline reservation. I could put Reverend." Figuring if somebody's looking at a manifest, it says, "Hey, we got an extra seat in first class. Who do we give it to?"
Has it ever worked?
Not once.
You really you write Reverend?
Sometimes.
That's so cool.
That's also gaming the old religious system. I think there's something to this. I think, nice.
This feels like a lot of fights with the city, though. Of like, I'm a made up minister from an internet church, and I put a hang tag on my windshield, and I got a ticket.
There's probably some kind of death certificate paperwork you'd have to fill out after the fact.
Oh, to prove that you were ministering.
So then there's a lot of research you have to do to find out like who died in that neighborhood.
They have all kinds of things. They have badges you can get, the hang tag for the rear view mirror, window cling sticker.
Right.
But I feel like you're just going to get a ticket anyway.
Yeah, because then you have to start thinking about your time.
Right.
Factor that into the price you're saving on the parking.
Speaking of time, and we don't have time for me to go into this story, and it's not even a good story, but I just have to get it off my chest.
Confess. Make your soul clean.
I have been embroiled in a battle with Cigna to get them to pay a claim that they messed up. And I was on the phone. It's one of these things of like, I cannot believe I have to call them again because I've called like 6 times. I've sent an email. The guy assured me that if I sent an email, it would get to him. Like, no response to that. There's been so much communication about this. And I was on the phone for 58 minutes today. Actually, inspired by your article, I said to the guy, I will bring in an insurance commissioner. Yes. But it's like I was talking to someone who was, I think, too lowly for that to matter.
Right.
I'm just complaining about, I feel like they are it's weaponized incompetence. They mess things up on purpose, and then it takes so long to untangle it. The end.
No, that's exactly right. Their entire financial model is built on exhausting the customer.
Yes.
Because they know that you have other shit to do, and they know that eventually you're going to get exasperated. And what we usually take out our anger on these lower level people that are totally powerless.
I know.
And they're already in the bullshit business.
Yeah.
If you want to get into an argument of bullshit with them, you're an amateur. You're just starting up. You have to figure it all out. They already have their bullshit infrastructure in place. You're up against that.
Right.
Professional bullshit.
I think I'm pretty good at this because you just have to keep a lot of detailed records, right? Like who you spoke to, what their number is, and whatever. And then once you build up those, the next person you talk, you're like, okay, look, on the 20th, I talked to Dolores.
Yeah.
And this is her number. And
right. I'm starting to then, put all that down.
You amass all that stuff, and eventually they kick you up this guy's a pain in the ass.
But
And
what a pain
I got
to have to do all that.
I got a year of free cable doing that once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A year of free cable?
Uh-huh.
That's like $1,000 at least, right?
They fucked me over.
Why is that the get out of jail free card for customer service people when they go, well, who did you talk to?
Yeah.
And if you can't name it, if you can't go, I talked to Fred on the 4th.
Right.
They're like, well, I can't help. It's like,
right.
Because I don't remember the name of the person I talked to, all of a sudden I'm making this whole thing up.
Well, you just got to keep a very detailed list and,
Right, but why is that like their excuse to get out of everything? Like, because it doesn't matter.
They're claiming that I filed my claim, submitted my claim outside of the timely filing window. But that's not true. I submitted it within the correct amount of time. They wrote back to me and said, we need the diagnosis code, which was on it. And so then I talked to them about it and resubmitted it, even though it was exactly the same, and they're counting that date as the thing. And then he's like, do you have any proof? Because it went from we show that you uploaded it on May 16th to like, oh, we show you uploaded it on April 23rd. And I said, that's impossible. I have a letter from you dated April 22nd. And then he was trying to say that like, oh, their dates don't really mean anything. And then
they mean something when you didn't get it in on time,
right?
But when you have evidence, dates mean nothing.
I uploaded it online. I'm like, you should have a record of that. And he's like, well, I have, he puts me on hold. I have good news for you. We keep the uploads for 2 years, or we keep everything you've submitted for 2 years. And I'm like, great. Can you find out when I submitted it then? Because that's the one record I don't have. I don't know the actual date I submitted it. And then he's like, well, I'm trying to tell you that's the problem. We don't show anything before May of this year. It's like, I've been uploading things like every month anyway, really annoying. Okay. Gosh, Given the time. Okay. You know what? Let's take one Just Me or Everyone call. And then we'll do Podcast Pals product picks.
It's Seth from Silver Spring. This is sort of a JMO when you hear a word and it triggers some joke that you heard, all the way from high school, and you still think about it and you still find it funny. So here's mine. Every time you talk about hormones, this is what I think of. How do you make a hormone? Don't care. Yes, it's stupid. I'm 45 years old. I still find it funny. This is Seth from Silver Spring.
One of my dad's favorite jokes. He told me that when I was quite young. Okay. Yes, I definitely have that. Sure. I have Truly Tasteless Joke Book living rent free in my head pretty much. Yeah,
same. My best friend in high school and I used to call vaginas cadavers for some reason, and now whenever I hear cadaver I think pussy.
Yeah.
The very first, I think, joke thing I ever did, it was one of two things, and one I actually mentioned to you last time was that when I tried to pee in a urinal from across the room. But the first, quote unquote, joke I ever made was Valentine's Day, and I think I was in second grade, and I noticed that I had a heart on, right? Like a little heart, right? Like a little heart sticker.
Yeah.
And I went around telling everybody I had a heart on.
You already knew what a heart on was?
Well, I knew the word, yeah. So, but yeah, I don't think I quite knew, but whatever. Either way, right. I knew that it worked as a joke, and I still to this day make that joke every Valentine's Day. So,
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
But it's my own joke, so I don't know if that counts. But
yeah,
yeah,
it does. Yeah, I know I've shared this on the show before. I don't know why, but many years ago, we were lamenting that there's not something that you say after someone coughs. Like after you sneeze, you say something, but there's nothing after. It just feels wrong to just leave someone hanging. So we decided what you should say is thumb dick. I think we had seen that we saw the beginning of that movie, Dead Again, maybe, and I think someone calls someone else thumb dick, and the way I don't know if it's Dead Again or Flout. Well, it doesn't matter. It was a long time ago, a movie a long time ago, and it just struck us as really funny. So we decided thumb dick. To this day, if someone coughs in my head, it's just automatic thumb dick. So yes, Seth, yes. Okay,
we all relate.
Let's do Podcast Pals product picks.
Podcast Pals peanut picks.
All right, Tess, what is yours?
I picked the Barbra Streisand memoir, Call Me Barbara. I'm I should know the title. But the Barbra Streisand memoir, which I was on a guided run earlier in this week, and the coach is prompting you to think of the best book you've read in the last year. And I was like, it's this one.
Really?
I devoured it. I did it as both the audio and the hard copy. I went into this book.
You heard it twice, or you went back and forth?
I was mostly listening to it, which it's an incredible audiobook.
That's what I hear.
She goes off script quite a bit. It's hilarious, entertaining. She sings. But I went into this not really much of a Barbra Streisand fan. I just saw that she released this giant book stopper of a memoir, and I'm I'll give it 15 minutes. It took over my life. Wow. I'm obsessed with her. I love the bitch now. I have this whole new appreciation. I'm that person now just from reading this book. I mean, you guys, it has everything.
Is it juicy?
It's so juicy. She spills. the chapter on Marlon Brando. She fucked Marlon Brando. She fucked the Prime Minister of Canada.
Justin Trudeau?
His dad. His dad.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it was a Trudeau.
Pierre.
Gary Trudeau.
Pierre.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. And also, she a lot of it is sort of framed in terms of different foods that she's eating, before or after recording different songs. So
that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
Now I'm in.
It's a great read.
Okay, I need to read it. Wow.
Huh. Okay.
Any interest in Babs, Jesse?
I have very little frame of reference for. I'm aware of her. But,
yeah. I keep hearing her book is really good.
It's incredible.
But yeah, I'm not a fan. She's fine, but I don't know much about her.
That was me 4 months ago, Allison. This book
changed your life.
Oh my! I would just tell my husband I gotta go hang out with Barbara.
How long? Isn't it 900 pages?
It's 1,000 pages. The audiobook is 48 hours long.
That's fucking audacious.
When I tell you, it went by a blink of an eye. Oh my!
There wasn't any this part's getting slow.
Just when you think it's getting slow, she starts describing food again.
I just finished a podcast about D-Day, and it took 6 hours.
Wow!
How fucking dare Barbra Streisand? record 48 hours of her own existence.
But did D-Day fuck Marlon Brando?
I mean,
D-Day fucked a lot of people. Not Marlon Brando per se. Quite a few people he fucked.
Yeah.
Mostly bad guys. But yeah, no need. So,
what's yours?
Well, okay, just real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like since this is a public forum and we have a lot of listeners that I might be able to do some good here. This is, and I will promise I will get to the product thing.
Yeah,
but
no, it's fine.
It was the having a thing to say when you cough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You did that in reaction to the fact that there's a thing that everybody has to say when they sneeze.
Yes.
And I desperately tried to fight this fucking uphill battle when our son was just learning to talk.
Mm-hmm.
That was, we are not going to perpetuate for another generation that fucking nonsense.
Right.
Where you must say a thing when someone sneezes.
Mm-hmm.
It's goddamn absurd, and it's been going on for fucking
Too long.
800 years, and it has to stop. And there's no reason to do it. And I tried to rally other new dads to go like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I
this
can't
time.
imagine anyone got on board.
We're not. No, everybody was like, this is a great idea,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's just not enough of us.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like a medium like this to get the word out. And it's too late for our generation. For our kids, yours and mine.
Right.
For they're fucked. They're gonna do it forever. But for any new parents starting now, like if you're listening to this, if you don't do it, just everybody stop. If we all stop, nobody has to say a fucking dumb thing when people sneeze.
But
you know
is
what
it?
I mean?
We
We can get rid of that in a generation.
Like pennies.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry to be contrarian. Like
You
my
think it's
dad.
important?
No, it's not important, but it doesn't bum me out. You know what bums me out? This is how much they've gotten to me. If I sneeze and someone
And
doesn't
no one
say
says
something.
anything to you?
Yeah.
That
feel
happened to me in
insulted?
yoga this morning, and I felt insulted. I
It's-
sneezed and
I
nothing.
feel like
You guys are so
am
fucking
I-
indoctrinated by this.
Do I?
It's nonsensical.
It's like when you're in
It's
an
the-
ATM
it's
and
the
it doesn't
dumbest
register that you're
superstitious
like,
thing.
do I not exist? Hello, it feels cold to me. So cold that like a bad spirit could jump into my body.
It's fucking bananas. But have you been? You cough, you sneeze several times, and then people get
I don't
fucking
like
annoyed
That's the worst.
and are like, "All right, enough already."
My
Like,
mom does
you know,
the
like-
worst thing. If you wind up to sneeze, if you go like, huh, and then she'll go, "Bless you," and it like knocks the sneeze out of me. It gives me like blue balls of my face. Like now, for some reason, someone saying "God bless you" before the sneeze comes out is like now you can't sneeze. You get performance anxiety, and it just puts you back another half hour. I hate it.
Okay,
Well, you're right. If we
But
didn't do
I
it,
think
then I
if
wouldn't have to
we
deal
could
with that.
just all stop. If the kids don't know it,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to say it anymore.
and then you
There's
won't
lots
be
of
offended
things we've
because no one
stopped
is
saying.
saying it.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots
That's
of
true.
You're right.
Lots of phrases and
Right.
words we no longer say.
I find myself saying we
That
don't
should
say that
be
anymore.
One of them.
Yeah.
We should all stop saying that.
Right.
It's a waste of fucking everybody's energy.
Jeff, how do you feel?
I always feel weird
Jeff
when
was nodding
people
along.
say, I always feel weird when people say Gesundheit to me or God bless you or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I just sneezed. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
But the weird thing is when
It
somebody
just feels
sneezes,
like you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome to me.
when somebody sneezes and there are a bunch of people and nobody says Gesundheit, and then one person
Bystander
says it,
apathy.
and that person goes, "Thank you." like I was waiting for that. I'm like, no, let it go. This is made up magic nonsense.
It's an
Like,
insane ritual. And it happens like when you're in the middle of like talking to someone about something and then there's and then they sneeze and then it derails the whole just get back to what you were talking about. Don't wait for, you know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway,
I mean, I've just never thought of it this way.
absurd.
Me
I've
either.
never thought of it this way. It always feels like a nice social construct.
Has
But
to
then
stop.
if you're not into it and then somebody says Gesundheit, then you have to thank them. Even though you
Yeah.
didn't want Gesundheit.
Right. Then I got to acknowledge that you did a thing. I didn't care. It doesn't, you don't care about my health. You know,
You guys
like, it's
never
a-
say it? You never say it to strangers?
No,
Oh, no,
I
they
have
do.
to. I'm part
Yeah,
of
you
society.
have
I'm
to.
forced to fucking say it all the time. It's dumb.
Like-
And I want to spare my children that fucking unnecessary, fucking nonsensical social interaction.
How do you
but it's
feel?
too late
How do
for
you
that.
feel when
They
someone
have
says
to
it
do
to you?
now.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. See.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice.
I've never heard any. This is the first time I've ever heard anybody be
Are
like,
we? Is it
I
because
really
we're women?
appreciate it.
Have you?
Maybe.
What do women say?
Maybe it's mostly dads that I brought this up to.
Man again with the
Yeah.
first with the derm.
First, I know. I
First
gotta
with
find
the
out.
dermantology and now this.
Yeah, I gotta
I feel like
find
my
out.
wife was on board what I was trying to do, but
Yeah,
it
I'm with
didn't.
you.
Yeah,
I gotta
But-
find out how Daniel feels about it.
Yeah.
I've never felt burdened either by having
Just
to say
ask,
it.
if we could have spared our children this absurd social interaction, could we go back? Would you go back and not teach them to do that? If we could get everybody on board.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for me, no, not really.
Okay. All right.
Because I think
I'm a follower. If you guys are all doing it, I'll do it. But I'm just saying, when I sneeze in public and someone says "bless you," if I don't know them, I'm always like, "Oh, thank you."
that's how I feel. And
I don't do it in a hectoring way. I don't
It's
go,
an
"Thank
icebreaker."
you."
No. It is an icebreaker. It's one of the
I have
and
allergies.
holding the door are the two
Yes.
things that
Holding the door
a stranger,
is nice. People, that helps someone. If you hold the door for them, that is helpful to them.
You're showing that. Well, I was going to say you're showing that you're thinking of their feelings, but I guess
That's what
if people are into
bless you is,
Gesundheit, then
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I think it's one of the rare moments that we have built into our culture where you just have this nice little quick moment with a stranger. It's it's nice.
I think here's how we disable it.
Smile at people. Just do that.
Here's my plan. Here's how we
Okay.
disable it. Jesse, I think you're going to be on board with this. Instead of pushing back, we're going to go judo. We're going to take its force and double it and turn into it. So what we're going to do is when somebody sneezes, you're going to go, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Are you okay?
Or
You just sneezed. Did your soul leave your body? Did the devil enter? Are you cool? Okay, all right, cool."
Or do the
That would be
way too big of a
horrendous.
the
wreck.
sneeze song. You
Sneeze
sing
song.
an entire
Yeah.
verse of a Happy Birthday
Happy
style
Birthday, yeah.
song at them.
And make them have eye contact with you the whole time.
You never break eye
Awkward eye contact.
You just
I think you
make
just-
them listen to the song.
You're not conditioning them to stop saying "bless you." You're conditioning them to never sneeze in public or to avoid you.
To not expect
But that would have
it.
that would have the same net effect. So
All right.
I think this is a workable plan.
Should not be expected. There's no fucking...
This is interesting. I'm glad this is coming up now.
I'm feeling that way about dropping hearts on texts. I'd like to stop doing that. Hearts and thumbs up.
Yes, because it's to the point where if you don't do it, it's like, does it seem rude?
Yes. And I've tried to dial back my use of it, but then I worry in group texts that I'm offending people by not.
The group. Okay, I'm on some chains for the preschool that my son goes to,
Yeah.
and I feel like someone will say I did this, and then every parent is like, "Oh my God, thank you! Oh my God, you're the best ever!" And I will not play along. So I'm just I'm a non-participant on the group text, but I feel like I'm being an asshole. I feel like it's a contest to kiss butt's too strong. It's a contest to chime in, and it's like when one person says happy birthday and then everyone's happy birthday, and then I just feel like, well, now we're all doing this.
Well, now you're all doing it, and then the birthday person has to sit there and heart all the fucking texts when they could just be enjoying their birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of world have we built?
Here's my present to you: more time on your phone. Thank you.
So product. Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
derailed the whole thing.
No, it's fine.
It's just what we did on Father's Day. I'm gonna plug Legoland. It was pretty fucking cool.
I've never been there.
So you have kids that are exactly the right age to go to Legoland. Exactly. And I've been told that they will outgrow it. Faster than other.
Okay.
there
Other
are
lands.
adult weirdos that go to Disney, as we've
Right.
already established.
Yes.
But I don't think you're even allowed to go as a single adult to Legoland. I
Oh,
don't
like
think they
Chuck E.
let.
Cheese.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's ideal. It's like low stress. It's because not a lot of people are there, and
sounds
there's cute
good.
little things the kids like.
You did it as a day trip?
Well,
did
we
you
stayed
spend the
overnight
night?
the night before.
Okay.
In Carlsbad, and then went
That's
yesterday.
nice.
Yeah, yesterday, the whole day. It closes at 7, by the way.
Oh, I like that.
Which is crazy for an amusement park. But
Yeah.
you got to be out by 7. So, so we were home by 9:30 or whatever.
Is it a manageable place? Because I find those situations with my children overwhelming.
No, it is. You get a little app and you request times on rides and stuff, but it's not even it's that
Right.
much of a line or whatever. So
All right.
and I've
Sold.
been very proud of the fact that our kids were. This is the thing I imbued in them. Like my dad is that roller coasters are the worst because I'm a big coward with
You
roller coasters.
are?
I can't handle them. They're
Right.
I don't like getting just fucking bumped around. Right?
Yeah.
It's not pleasant to me. But there are I can handle tiny little shitty kid ones, you know. But I can fucking handle a child's roller coaster.
Sure.
But I don't like them. And so my kids were like, fuck that when we got there. We're not doing roller coasters. And I kind of scaled it back. And I was like, I think I went too far with this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're doing the dragon one. and they were like very trepidatious about doing it. And then they were like super proud of themselves, and they like loved it, and they have been talking nonstop about how great that was.
Wow, you're in a tough position now, because what if they decide that they like roller coasters now?
No, but we still like pointed to ones that were like, we're never doing that one. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And like my son was like, that one's crazy. Like, we're not gonna do that shit. So like they get the line, you know. So but little kid ones are cool now. But yeah, it's great. It's really nice, and yeah, they got.
How do you feel about like Pirates of the Caribbean? Have you done that?
Oh, I like it very much.
You do? Okay.
I mean, that fits
that
my
has
aesthetic,
drops. Oh, you're right.
You know?
Oh, that's
but
yeah. Oh, my God.
Thunder Mountain?
It has a single drop, by the way, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Has
it just
two.
has the one. Oh, is it two?
Well, one is very small.
Yeah. So
You
I
might
can
not
handle
count it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's for children. You know, like I can handle that, but I can't. Beyond that, I can't take
You can't do like Thunder Mountain.
No, I can't do that either.
Really?
No, I wouldn't do it. No. So.
Have you been to California Adventure?
I have, but I haven't ridden.
Because there's one called, I think it's called Goofy's Flying School. It's
Uh-huh.
a kid's roller coaster, or so I thought. It was horrible. I can't remember why now, but I remember being like, that was so unsafe feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
I
recommend
expect
it.
better of Disney.
Yeah.
See,
I mean, people enjoy it, but I didn't.
I love roller coasters because I have divorced parents and I grew up in Southern California. So, like, our dad would take us to Disneyland and Magic Mountain pretty much every weekend.
Oh, wow.
So that's my shit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was.
That's very cool.
Divorced dad as fuck. And like, I'll still, if I had, I ask my husband all the time to take me to Magic Mountain, and he won't. Like, I love roller coasters. Like,
Okay.
Is he not?
No, because I think they make him motion sick.
Yeah.
But it's sad to go to Magic Mountain alone, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
But you have
I
friends
don't think you
that
can
might
do it.
go
Yeah.
with you. You know, like.
I feel like adults don't want to go to Magic Mountain.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
Because
that
our
one that
bodies
well,
are
'cause I
like
didn't grow up
creaky.
here.
Yeah.
I think that's it's too much. Like I rode just a swing at a park, and I found that it hurt my body. And I was like, I can't believe I've aged out of. I mean, not that I swing often, but I figured there's nothing that should be painful about this. But it weirdly hurt the sides of my legs.
When I was like in high school, we went to one of the Six Flags or something in Ohio, and it was the last time in my life I've ever been peer pressured onto a ride I was not okay with. And it was one of those ones that like spins and then spins within the spinning.
Oh no!
And I got off and I threw up, and they just dragged me over to some like foliage, like a landscaped area with bushes, and I lied there the whole fucking day.
Oh god, that's
the entire
so
rest of the
awful.
day, and they would come back like once an hour and bring me juice, and then they would go fuck off and have a great time the rest of the day. And they basically just scooped me up at the end of the day and took me home.
Yeah,
And
that sounds awful.
Yeah, so then I was like, fuck it. I'm not like, I don't need to do those things. You know?
I did the
like,
teacups the last time I was at Disney, and felt like I was going to throw up for like 2 hours afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nauseating.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So anyway, but there's nothing like that. There are a few things like that we all agreed we're not doing at Legoland, but for the most part, it's very chill.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, full disclosure. The teacups were awful, but what really put it over the edge was when I pulled out my phone and I'm like, I'm going to do a selfie. And then something about looking at my phone while I was spinning.
Yeah.
That's what pushed me over the edge. Jeff, do you have one?
It's a book, Invisible Rulers, The People Who Turn Lies into Reality by Renee DiResta. It's a
Ooh,
very
that sounds
interesting
good.
book. It is an analysis of the radical shift in the dynamics of power and influence, revealing how the machinery that powered the big lie works to create bespoke realities, revolutionizing politics, culture, and society.
Bespoke realities. That's what your office is.
That is a bespoke reality. It's
That
a
sounds really
Victorian
good.
bespoke reality, yes.
Thank you. These were great. This all has been great. I'd like to remind. What am I doing? I got to say hello and welcome to the new patrons.
Allison wants to say thank you to a couple of special people out there who signed to be new patrons. Patreon.com/AllisonRosen.
Hello and welcome to Carolyn N. Hello and welcome to Karen Hamrock. Hope you're enjoying your unfettered, unadulterated access and your puppy pics. And more. Patreon.com/AllisonRosen. And just my quick little pitch. Yes, I do have a sponsor right now. Go me. But if you've been listening for any time, you know that normally I'm segueing left and right. I'm the queen of segues, etc. This year, my segues have gotten rusty because my ads have gotten thin. So I am now relying on your direct support via Patreon, and you guys have been so wonderful. So thank you so much. Patreon, and then also my Substack, AllisonRosen.substack.com. I'm like a small handful of paid subscribers away from having a badge by my name, which is really important to me. Please, guys, help me get that badge. Okay. Tess, where might we find you?
You can find me everywhere at Testify with 2 S's, so Testify Barker.
Wonderful. And everyone should listen to Lady and Pop Mystery.
New podcast, Pop Mystery Pod.
Yes.
Sweet.
And
Cool.
Jesse, where might we...
Jesse Joyce Twitter, and Jesse Joyce 1 is my
Great.
Instagram because somebody else had it. And then I have
That's
a
true.
website also, but
What's the
you know,
website?
it's just jessejoyce.com.
Okay.
It's been there for a
People
while.
can go there, but you've like written books and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's true. Yeah, I have a book. Yeah, you can check it out on Everand is the service. It's called Killing the Guys Who Killed the Guy Who Killed Lincoln. It's a nutty story about Edwin Booth and Boston Corbett.
Mm-hmm.
It's a historical comedy thing about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. It's
It's a
hilarious.
crazy story.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's very funny. So, thank you.
Wonderful. And Jeff?
If I may, I'll do 2 plugs. The new episode of the Conversation with Alanis Morissette podcast with Ramani Durvasala, who's an expert on narcissism. It is a super interesting conversation. And also the little podcast that could, if you don't mind checking out, a new podcast that I'm doing, Books and Insight with former U.S. Ambassador Frank Lavin. The upcoming episode is with Renee DiResta, previously mentioned in my Amazon pick, to discuss her book, Invisible Rulers, The People Who Turned Lies into Reality. A
That's
gripping
an
look.
odd coincidence.
I know. I can't believe these both came up at the same time. What are the odds? It's a gripping look at political propaganda in the internet age.
When you said, and the little podcast that could, I was like, that's a good name for a podcast.
That is a good name for a podcast.
Someone should do that. Everyone, this was delightful. Thank you so much. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show?